Hi, this is Mark Arnold with another Fun Ideas podcast. And today, this is our 150th episode, and I have a very special guest, the man you see above me. And he sent me a signed picture of this caricature of Alfred E. Newman. His name is maddest artist, Dick DeBartolo. How are you, sir?
I am good, sir. And you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining with me today on this show.
Oh, no problem. No problem. It's a
So,
cold day in New York City, so it's good to be inside.
oh, very good. Yeah, here it's actually kind of warm. I said I was in Oregon, so but we've had our snow. It always seems like it's the opposite. If you guys get a big belt of snow, we're warm, and if we get a big
Well,
belt of
what's
snow,
what's
you're
what
hot.
what is warm in Oregon?
Currently it's probably about 50, I guess, Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's warm. That's
Yeah,
warm. It's
yeah,
28 here.
yeah. But it's been down below like 28, 27 in recent weeks. In the morning
Yeah.
usually. Have to
Okay.
defrost the windshield and that. But so how I usually start off, I have a whole bunch of questions, but it doesn't mean
Oh,
I'm going to
okay.
go through them
Okay.
all. But I usually
No
kind of just start.
history. I don't do history, and I don't do math questions. Pretty much anything else is
Well, I hope you
okay.
do mad history questions because that's
Oh,
going to
okay.
really make a very short show. So I usually start off by just asking you, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in comedy writing and working for Mad.
Okay, so my inspiration was a guy named Sid Caesar. I don't know if you know that name. Show of Shows, and they used to do movie satires, and they killed me. And I thought, I want to write this kind of stuff. I was reading Mad, and then after a while, I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I'll send them something. And I bought the Writer's Yearbook because I didn't know about submitting to a magazine, and it said uh, most magazines will only read manuscripts submitted by an agent, and I was in high school, and it said, and some will don't need an agent. And I looked up Mad right away, and it said, we'll read anything. Like,
We're
all
desperate.
right, all right, but make sure you include a self-addressed stamped envelope. Otherwise, it doesn't get returned, and you don't know what happened. So I wrote the thing and put my big envelope in with it. And about 6 weeks later, my own envelope came back. Really depressed. And then later, I thought, well, maybe it's almost there, or we can't do it because it's too close to what we're doing. Anyway, I opened it up and pulled it out, and it was cardboard and scribbled on a cardboard. It said, "Ha ha ha! Thought this was your script being returned. Well, we bought it." And stapled to this cardboard is a check for $100. That was big time back then.
Yeah.
And please call me. I want to talk to you about writing more from Mad. And it was signed by Nick Meglin, associate editor. And that started the whole thing with Mad. And I was doing, they're called filler pieces. They're the movies and the TV shows, and then in between are the filler pieces. And I was doing that. And then two guys who just got out of service asked me to write some satire for them, which I did. And one of them liked it, but the other one hated it. Anyway, the one guy said, "I'll pay my half of it for this script, but we're not going to use it." So I was really depressed. I showed it to Nick Meglin, and I said, I told him the whole story, and Nick said, "Well, I'll read it." And he said, "You know what? This could be a mad satire." He said, it's not a movie that's playing, but we could start doing a mad look at old World War II movies. So write it up as a movie." And I did, and suddenly I was doing filler pieces and movie satires. So I wrote the musical, and I wrote the submarine movie, and the World War II movie, and the western. And then they said, "Well, you know what? We're going to assign you a major motion picture." So that's how I started doing the movies.
Now, in your book, which I will promote here, you did Good Days and Mad, and it's
Yep.
kind of really your life, not only with Mad, but with the publisher William M. Gaines. It's like your relationship with them over that year. All those
That was a bizarre thing. I was terrified of Bill when I first worked there. I remember about 3 months in, I said, you know, Nick, I don't have a check for the so-and-so piece. And Nick said, hang on, I'll put Bill on. I said, no, don't put Bill on. Give me the accounting department. And Nick said, Bill is the accounting department. I said, yeah, but I don't want to bother him. Well, Nick must have told Bill that I was this backstory. And so Bill picks up the phone, and I hear Nick say, Dick DeBartolo's on the phone. And Bill says, well, who the hell is he? And he said, he's writing some stuff. And he goes, oh, God, these writers. And he goes, hello. And I said, Bill, I didn't want to, I'm sorry to disturb you. And Bill starts laughing. And he goes, Dick, I'm thrilled that you called. I am annoyed. I don't know why I didn't pay you. I'll get a check out today. And he said, being mean to news people is just the way of life here at Mad. So have a thick skin. But then one day we went to a big Mad luncheon, and Bill said something about Lucy the elephant. And I said, are you talking about the hotel at Coney Island, or are you talking about Lucy in Margate? And like Bill went, you know? I said, oh my God. I said, I found that so fascinating. He goes, what are you doing Saturday? And I said, nothing, I can't change. He said, why don't we drive down to Margate and see the elephant? I said, that would be great. And then on the way down, he said, you want to get some Taylor pork rolls on buns? I said, I don't even know what that is. He said, oh my God, you don't. So anyway, we went to Atlantic City, and we had Taylor pork roll grilled on hamburger buns. And then we went to Margate and saw the elephant. And the elephant was a disaster. And Bill said, we have to find somebody. We have to find the mayor. So I guess we went to the tourist bureau. I don't know how, but we ended up in the mayor's house. And Bill said, you know, we love the elephant. I'll get the donations rolling. You have to save the elephant. And from that day forward, we just hit it off, and we became really good pals.
So as a result, I love the book, Good Days in Mad. But
oh, thank you.
One of the things that I have a friend named Lee Hester who runs Lee's Comics, and he says, make sure to ask him this because I was talking
okay.
to you, is there is not much mention of Al Feldstein as your editor. And it's like, well, I guess it was kind of more like a love letter to William M. Gaines. But yeah, I am kind of curious about that because Feldstein kind of gets thrown under the bus, for lack of a better term, as being any sort of part of the history of Mad. These days it's usually like Kurtzman, and then they kind of skip forward over those years. What was your working relationship with Al?
Al's passed on, but let's just say he was difficult to work with.
Okay.
And so that's why.
Okay.
okay, yeah.
So I mean, I guess that's why there's not a glowing memoir with him. Okay, that's fair enough. But I just wanted to also kind of just ask about, because you were actually under 4 editorships. Over at Mad. So I was wondering, so I guess that one was...
Well, really 3, because Al was editor when I got there. So I met Wally Wood and who's the other head guy? The guy who founded it.
Kurtzman?
Wally Wood.
Harvey Kurtzman?
Yeah, Harvey Kurtzman. I met them several times at events, but I never worked with them.
Right. But I consider, and I'll say I'll ask you the differences. Ficarra Meglin years versus just Ficarra by himself, kind of as separate times, a little bit, because things changed during those periods. So I'm wondering, how was it working under John Ficarra and Nick Meglin versus just John Ficarra alone?
Well, Nick was very easy to work with, and John had a lot on his plate because the reason Bill made them both editors is because there's a lot that goes on with printing schedules and meetings and things that Nick wants nothing to do with. And John was able to handle all of that stuff. I mean, our offices were for a while across from each other, and he would be on the phone for hours with executives. Um, so I had more fun with Nick than I did with John because John, I think, felt more executive like, where Nick just thought we were there to have fun. So I think the difference was there was more fun when it was the two of them, but without John, that magazine would have folded years ago because after Nick passed on, and even when Nick left, there's an awful lot of stupidity that goes on at Warner, and John had. I'll tell you one is when Bill was still there. I had written the book, not yeah, Mad Murders the Movies with
Oh yeah.
Duck Edwing, and I called. We could buy books at 40% off, and I usually bought a case of them. And so I called the warehouse and said I want to buy a case of Mad Murders the Movies, and the guy said, "Well, there are none because they've been shredded." And I said, "No, not Mad. Look at old movies. That's what you're thinking of. That's an old book, came out 10 years ago. I thought about Mad Murders the Movies with Duck Edwing." He said, "No, they're shredded." I said, "Well, it came out 2 months ago." So I told Bill, and Bill says, "Let me get on it." And Bill calls me and he goes, "Yes, they shredded the new book." And he said, "Unfortunately, because everything is done in rotation, we can't reprint it for a year."
Oh.
And I'm thinking, how? And then I was at some Warner meeting. Bill would send me to do a little 5-minute crazy thing before he got into the serious stuff. And I said, "And brand new from Warner is this time-saving device, the printing press that delivers directly to the shredder. No boxing, no shipping. It just is printed and shredded." Anyway, yeah. So how John could deal with that kind of stuff is beyond me.
I'll get back to the paperbacks because
Okay.
I do have questions about
Yeah,
that whole
yeah.
process. But the last tenure you were with is briefly, as was everybody at the end, with Bill Morrison. And I was just curious
Yes.
how it, because you were a freelancer, so obviously you weren't in the office, but you're still contributing up to like the 11th issue
Yes.
of things. So how were
Yes.
those final issues for you? Or
Well, the thing is, we only dealt through emails, and there were no meetings. And I know that once when I finally got through to Bill, I said, "Bill, I've been trying to get you like for a month now." And he goes, "I know, I'm a little backlogged here. What did you need?" I said, "I sent in the thing about." He said, "Oh, I love that. That's fine. That's fine." He said, "Did you also send in the thing about Monster something?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Finish that. I like that too." So when we got together, he was fine to work with. He was just hard to get a hold of, and I don't know why, because I have no idea what goes on. It's probably more of what John has to deal with, had to deal with. So with John, I could just walk in, and he would say, "Do you think you could extend this a page because we wanted to start on the left hand side?" I was right there, so I think that was a big benefit that we could bounce stuff off, or and I could get John's ear any day of the week. So doing it long distance was more problematic.
so that leads me to ask, and I do have it written down here, had Mad continued to be all new, would you continue writing for it, or were you like ready to retire anyway?
No, I think I would have continued. Um, I am a big person with records, long going records. I stayed with Match Game from the pilot through the last Match Game show going off the air, like 18 years in different reincarnations. I wrote a powerboat column because I love boating until the magazine went out, folded, and that was 42 years. And there's, about Mad Streaks. Mad Streaks is, oh God, Michael, he's going to kill me for not. And anyway, there was a website called Mad Streaks. And you can go in there and find everybody's, how long they have been in every
Oh, okay.
issue.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Well,
yeah.
I think I've seen it on Doug Guilford's.
Yes,
website.
yes, because Michael said, I'm going to give this up. And Doug said, oh my God, that's an incredible resource. Will you move it to my website and I'll keep it up? So that's where it is now.
Right.
And
you're like in number 2 spot, number 3?
I was number 1, but now Sergio is number 1 because Sergio, I think they're still doing marginals.
Yes.
Yeah, new
marginals and the fold-in in the cover. Yes. So
the fold-in is somebody else.
Yeah, but it's not out.
Yeah,
that's right.
But
I mean, as far as new features, that's it.
Yeah, but although I'm not continuing, if you wanted to say I'm the longest running writer, I am. If you throw in longest running writer artist, then it's Sergio because he does both.
Right.
And even though they're reprints, I'm still in every issue.
Right.
Susie, who is in charge now, said, "Oh my God, Dick, we want to keep your streak running because you've been around forever."
So do you think you still might contribute again on occasion?
If they started new again, I probably would.
Okay, because I know occasionally, like I think Tom Richmond had a piece in like the most recent issue.
Yes,
like
I think he did
1 or 2 page thing.
Yes, yeah.
So.
Now I'm not. It could be two things. It could be things that were in the works and it's timely enough to go in now, or maybe he's doing new stuff. I don't know.
Now, how were you told? Was it that infamous email that came out a couple 3 years ago that just went all over the internet viral because it just said, "Oh man, it's gone, it's done," and it's like,
yeah, it was pretty devastating, and that was the second most devastating thing. The first was when Bill died, and the people from Warner came over and said, "Bill's dead. Bill put a wall between you and the corporate office. He's dead. The wall is coming down."
Ooh, ouch.
It was terrible. Annie Gaines was hysterically crying. She said, "This place looks like a high school newspaper," which I thought that was a compliment.
Yeah.
But you're gonna move into a corporate situation, and you can't. They finally let us do anything we wanted in our offices as long as we would close the door when we left. But they had what you could have on your desk for people. It was, the corporate world. I remember at Bill's memorial, the head of Warner Comics, or maybe just One Entertainment, Bill Saranoff, said, I had lunch with Bill one day and said, "Bill, what do you think about moving the Mad staff into corporate headquarters?" And Bill said, "Would you like to move back in with your parents?" and Saranoff said, "Okay, I get the picture." But that was, yes, it was shocking that, and then we pretty quickly got a 40% pay cut. So that was a real killer. That was a murderous killer because there's really no other place to sell that stuff,
Well, yeah, all the competition is gone too.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Like in the old days when Don Martin went to Cracked, you could have done that. Now you can't.
Yes. Only ones. I just happened to be in Bill's office and the phone rang and he said, "Yeah, we're out." I said, "Hang on a minute, I'll give you an answer." So he put his hand over the phone. He said, "Do you want to write movie satires for Muppet Magazine?" And I said, "Isn't that the kiss of death? That the thing we are not allowed to do?" And Bill said, "I don't allow it because people are late in their deadlines all the time. I have no problem with you. You're always on time. So if you want to do it, let me tell them. I said, well, yeah, if you're happy with it. So I wrote Satires for them for a year. But you're right. Outside of, and I don't even know if whatever it is, I doubt if they're doing movie satires. So yes, it was a blow when Bill died, and it was a blow when we moved into corporate headquarters, and then yes, when we found out it was going, that was a killer. And the worst was coming to the office and watching them pry the mad sign off the wall. Oh my God.
Mhm. Wow.
And the funny thing is, we had the ship of the day that the movies were going to come. The movies came at like 5 a.m. And by the time we got there to rescue stuff, there were boxes floor to ceiling. And John said, where are the issues from the printer that just came in? And they said, well, they're packed up.
The shredder.
You'll have to wait till they unpack them in LA and send them back to you. So, yeah, exactly. You would think they would have waited for someone from Mad to be there so they could say, this goes anyway. So yeah, it was not a good thing.
Well, I have to say, as a fan, it's sad too. I'm still a subscriber, but it's like every issue is painful to read because it's like there's only like 3 new pages. I mean, I guess if you didn't read Mad in a long period of time, it might be interesting because there's a lot of material you hadn't seen. But I have every issue, so it's like, okay, I flip through it and I go, oh, there's a fold-in. Oh, there's a couple of Sergio things.
Oh,
okay, I'm done. Yeah.
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 But every once in a while they'll throw in a Wally Wood article or
Yeah.
something from. I started in issue 69. I find something early on. I like seeing it, and I rarely read my own stuff. But every once in a while I read something and go, oh, this is not bad.
Do you
But
ever
also,
reread?
yeah,
Do you ever reread your own stuff and say, "Hey, this guy's good"? You didn't like you forgot you did it.
every once in a while, what was it that I read, and I just broke myself up. I can't remember what it was, but I thought, oh, that's funny. That's still that still
I'll
works
tell you one
today.
thing you wrote, and I have to tell you this. And I was because I quickly looked in Doug's website just to say what did Dick do here? Because
Yeah,
I
right.
kind of remember it's like one thing I found out is you did a lot of science fiction movies, like you did uh, Star Trek TV show and some of the movies. You did all the Star Wars movies, at least all the good older ones.
Only
So
because
you
I
did,
loved
yeah,
gadgets,
yeah.
and they
Okay, all
figured
right.
they figured this is great for Dick. If it was anything to do with marriage or anything, Stan Hart or
Okay,
Larry, because they were both married and had
okay.
kids.
So you didn't
Uh,
request this. You didn't say, "Oh, this new movie called Star Wars that nobody knows
no,
about
not
is
not at
coming
the
out."
beginning.
Oh,
Not at the
okay.
beginning. I did request Sully. The movie about the
Oh yeah.
landing the plane in the Hudson, and originally they no one knew how big a movie it was, and I said to John, uh, uh, I said, John, the DVD is coming out in a Christmas packaging. If we jump on it now, because I just seen it in one of the trades, like in July or something, I said, we could have the satire on the stands for the December issue and it would tie in because they evidently have many millions of dollars set aside for pushing this as a Christmas gift. And he said, oh, okay, well, then do it. And I think that's one of my most favorite satires because I used to do a lot of flying and you got to poke fun at entitlement, like when it lands in the Hudson, someone said, oh, is this an excuse now? There's going to be no lunch. And, and someone said, do we get 3 miles, frequent flyer miles from landing from the sky to the river? And then someone else is asking, what part of the wing is first class? So it was just a fun thing to write.
I was ironically in New York for an art show. The same time that actual Hudson River thing happened. I had flown in the day before, and then
Oh,
And I was watching it on the news with everybody else, and oh my God, that could have been me, because it was just like hours
Well,
later,
it happened behind my back. I was leaving the marina and someone said, "Did you see that?" It was Air. What was the company? Air. Uh, what was the airline? Um, I can't even remember it. Anyway, I said, "Oh yeah, they have helicopters all the time," and she said, "No, a full-size jet." So I ran out onto the breakwater, and I said, "Oh my God, there it is!" And it had already landed, but it was in the middle of the Hudson River. Yeah, and so the office came out and said, "Don't anybody leave the marina to try and help because a lot of professional help is on the way, and they don't want little boats in the way." So no one went down from the marina. But yeah, I really missed the spectacular sight by about 30 seconds.
Now, in going through your stuff, like I said, a lot of science fiction parodies, and
Yes.
one of my favorites is your version of the Lost in Space TV show called Loused Up in Space, and just the cliffhanger where they're all sweating and perspiring, and then why not open the window? I just
Yeah.
love that. It's like I read that years ago, and I just
Yeah,
said that's the perfect encapsulation of a kind of a dumb science fiction show.
Yes, and I got a great compliment on that. We're both bad on names. Do you remember the woman who was the star of that show?
Oh, June Lockhart. Yeah, I met
June
her.
Lockhart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
June Lockhart is on Match Game.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I said, "June, I'm going to run over to Mad because my satire of your show is in the issue that's coming out next week, and I'll get you a copy." So I came back and I gave her a copy. And on one of the breaks, she read it and she said, "Do you know anybody in the script department?" And I said, "I don't know nobody anything." She said, "This plot of yours is so close to what's on the board that we're going to be filming in 2 months." I said, "Well, that's the ultimate compliment because movie satires are easy. You satirize their plot.
Right,
But
right.
TV satires, you have to watch like 5 or 6 weeks of shows to see how they're constructed and then make up a crazy plot." So her saying it read like one of their stories, I thought that's pretty good.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
Then the other one was the Star Trek one, Star Blech, and then had
Oh,
like the transporter and had like his arm coming out of his
yes,
ear.
people remember that. The hand on the, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. Okay.
in tandem with all the editors you worked with, and you mentioned it already,
Yeah.
even if you didn't go in, if you're freelance, you probably went into the offices occasionally. Did you ever work at Lafayette at all, or no?
No.
Okay.
No,
So you
I know.
started
I
at Third.
started at an office that people don't even know about. They were on Third Avenue for a very short time.
Yeah.
And I knew it because it was the Girl Scouts building.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a big logo out front. That's where the Girl Scouts or the Scouts, I guess maybe both boys and girls. It was something Third Avenue, maybe 850 Third Avenue. I went there a few times, but when I actually got a job going in every week, 1 or 2 days, they were already at 485 Madison.
right. And that's the famous address. In a
Oh
certain
my
way, yeah.
gosh,
Yeah.
485 Madison
Right.
Avenue. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, on the third one, I'm just curious, was that too small? Is that what was going on, why you had to move to Madison? Or was the attraction of Madison Avenue the real lure to get you over on that address?
Oh, well, Bill is very funny. Bill wanted. He said, "I originally tried to get the Empire State Building office that the plane crashed into," and he said, "No, they have a long-term lease on that." Then he said, "I told the agent, no matter where we are, it has to be the 13th floor." And he said, "You would be surprised how many buildings don't have a 13th floor."
Right.
And so that was the attraction for Bill. And yeah, it was very crowded there. And I once said, shouldn't we have more space? And he goes, "No, I said, well, why not? He said, because the more space you have, the more crap you'll bring in. And look at this. Everybody here is, no one throws anything out. So one day, Bill called everybody together and he said, okay, I just renewed the lease. The rent went up quite a bit, but the leasing company said that the offices next door, it was one gigantic room, is for some reason unrentable. And along with the rent increase, we can have that room. So I just want to know if anybody needs more space and why they need it. And I said, me. He said, why? I said, I want to have trains. If I could have two desks back to back, I could have trains. And Bill said, well, that's okay. All right, oh, there's one. So Dick has two desks. Who else? Well, anyway, and knowing how PR works, I called Atlas. They make HO trains, and I said, "Would you guys like to have a model railroad at the Mad Magazine offices?" And they said, "Would we? What do we need?" I said, "I'll measure my two desks back to back and send me a layout." So they did. So yeah. So I actually 485 Madison Avenue is where Bill was his final resting. It's where he passed on, and that's when Warner came over and said,
And then you moved to Broadway, and I'm sure that was totally different.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We were, I think people didn't, one day they realized all the artwork on the walls that we moved into 17 was the original artwork. So they came and they took it all away, and with the purpose of an auction, which I believe raised like more than $3 million. And everything was copied so that they could rehang everything and it would look the same, but it wouldn't be the original art anymore. But in the interim, it was like 3 months, there was nothing on the walls. And somebody came out and hung a stapler on, and the nails are there. Someone hung a stapler on it and maybe a scarf. And then someone said, oh, okay. And they went in and they hung some thing. And then John Ficarra called me and told me what's going on. And he said, there are like 30 nails in the conference room. You have so much crap in your office. Can you be responsible for hanging crap in this conference room? I said, oh, yeah, that'd be great. So later on, I heard that upstairs they're saying, you should see what the people at Mad Magazine did. They trashed the hallways. It's a disaster down there. We thought it was pretty cunning. It was like an art exhibition, but that's our sensibility.
So yeah, it sounds like it was never the same. Now, were you a freelancer? When did you become the creative consultant? Is that was what roughly?
That was when Bill hired Nick and John.
Oh, okay.
He said, I'd like to have you on staff.
Did he ever offered you to be the editor, or did you ever want something like that?
Oh no.
I was just curious. Okay.
No. Even when I was writing Match Game, someone said, as a writer, there's a limit to how much they'll pay you, but do you want to? We're doing some new game shows. We'd like to be a producer. I said, what are you kidding me? Hire and fire people? No. And go to meetings? No, never wanted to be an editor.
Well, even as creative consultant, didn't you say in your book you only wanted to come in like once a week, maybe?
Yeah. Once a week or 2 days, 2 different half days a week, or if they were doing something special, I would come in for it. But it was great. It was.
Did you do much different as that, or is it just a title?
Oh, yes. It was the thing for me to do was to think of ways to promote Mad that. We had something called the Mad Minutes. Do you remember seeing anything about
it?
Okay. Yeah, it was a way to free advertising. And I remember John Ficarra once said, that I've done more for Mad than the Mad ad department, PR department, because if I was over at ABC and I could see, I remember the movie reviewer. I said, I can send you some Mads, and she said, if there's a way to work it in, she called me one day. She said, I want to show, can I show this cover during my review? And I said, oh, yeah, that'd be great. And then they made a 30-second spot for the overnight news that I was on. Um, it was a story about Ted Koppel, but on the screen was Alfred E. Newman. And they said, is this okay with you? I said, it's okay with me. What the hell is Ted Koppel going to say? And they said,
Oh.
we don't know. Maybe he'll think it's funny. Maybe he won't, but we don't care.
Mhm.
So I did get a lot of ways to promote Mad.
Right. So I asked earlier about the paperbacks, and you started talking about the one that was shredded.
Yes.
I always wanted to know, because they always talk about how the magazine was put together in every book that I ever read about the history of Mad, but they don't really talk about the paperbacks, other than maybe the compilation ones where they're just
Right.
reprinting old articles. So for you as a writer, I know there's a different royalty scale and everything like
Yes.
that, but how did you get a paperback published? Like, if you had an idea, did they come to you? Did you go to Bill? How did that work?
You would go to Bill and say, Bill, I have an idea for a paperback. And he said, don't tell me now. Let me look at the schedule. He would say, Frank is ahead of you, and Larry Siegel has an idea. So I can schedule a book for you in July, whatever it is. And he said, and I said, well, what do I do for the first time? He said, you write a 3-page outline and just, what the book's going to be like and a little sample, and then I'll get your contract. And along the line, Bill said, I used to get a $3,000 advance. And he said, then 4,000. I got you 5,000. I said, well, how do you do that? And he said, I do that because no one reads contracts. And I realized that I can put anything I want in a contract and they'll sign it. So I figured, well, they signed a contract for 4,000. I'll make your contract 5,000. So I got a $5,000 advance. And famously, you probably know it, that one contract Bill has with Warner says that I, William M. Gaines, retain the right to be unreasonable, which is written into the contract because no one reads it. So Bill was great. Bill was great at manipulating the corporate world. He was just tremendous.
Yeah, it's amazing. So once you had an idea, I mean, obviously you had to keep your regular magazine articles going. So
Yes,
did you just kind of do this in your spare time? Like, let's just say Mad Look at TV. I think that was your third book or something like that.
You had 6 months.
Okay.
You had from the time you got your advance to the time you had to deliver the manuscript was 6 months.
Yeah.
And fortunately, Nick Meglin edited all my books.
Oh, okay.
So as we went along, I could show him stuff if I wanted to say, is this funny? Is this not? And when I got fairly far along, we would have a meeting with me and whoever. And it's very funny because my first book, luckily, was Mort Trucker and Jack Davis. And this is my first book, and Jack Davis, Nick says, come on, Friday, Jack's going to come in and we'll go over this. So Jack comes in, and Jack has the script we sent him, and Nick said, and I guess he has the, they're not the blue lines. Anyway, it's outlines. It's a bare bones thing of what the page might look like. Okay. And Nick said, Jack, this looks crowded. Could you take these two people, put them on a separate page, and then the rest of the team over here? And Jack said, oh yeah, I can do that. And we do Jack's entire half of the book like that. And then Jack has to go to the bathroom. And Nick turns to me, did I tell you he's a prick? And I said, what? He's tough to work with. Again, it's just Nick having fun with you, because I'm thinking, oh my God. I'm thinking, what
as far as I know, Jack Davis is a sweetheart. I talked to him once on the phone.
Oh my God. Jack was great. Yeah. No, but you learned how to deal with that sensibility, Right. I remember once Bill took us to Tahiti. If you sold Mad 25 pages of published material, you got a free trip. And that's because you never got money for a Mad special, which was your material. And so Bill said, so I take the income from the thing and I divide it up. And if you had 25 pages republished, you're entitled to this trip. So he takes us to Tahiti, and we're staying in huts that are on water you can see 30 feet down. And then hundreds of people come to the shore because the sunsets are unbelievable. And we're sitting there, and I turned to Bill and said, where did you find this hellhole to drag us to? And Bill says, what kind of a brain do you have that with all this splendor, even the word hellhole comes to your mind? And it was just a thing we had to never be happy with anything Bill did. And it was just a funny thing to do.
So back on the paperbacks a moment.
Yeah, sorry,
we will talk about the trips too, but an obvious choice for like Mad Look at the Movies is, Mort Drucker and Jack Davis.
Yes.
But I mean, did you get to choose who did the artwork for your books?
No.
Okay, so
no, because John and Nick knew what pieces they were working on for the magazine, and who Davis was faster than Drucker. I knew that Drucker needed a week a page. Okay, so if he was doing a 6-page satire, he was unavailable for 6 weeks to work on a paperback. So you didn't get a choice of artist.
Because like your later ones, it seemed like they're always Duck Edley.
No, yeah, I never did. With the paperbacks, I did. But
Bill I mean, that's what I meant. It's like the later ones, you got Duck Edwing, And
yeah, exactly. He said,
then,
I said, can I work with Duck on this?
Oh, okay. So you did ask on him. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think one of them, Leisure Time, is it George Woodbridge you got or something like that?
Yes, and Ange Stories.
Oh, okay.
Did right, and the funny thing is, okay. There's going to be a thing at the Society, some illustrations of Ange and stuff, and so someone called me and said, how many things did you do with Ange? And I said, I'm not sure. Probably a couple dozen. So I went on to Mad Cover Site, and it's amazing. You can pick an artist and then pick a writer. And when I picked Ange and me, we did 96 articles together. Okay.
Typically, those are TV satires, right?
Yes, it was a Mad Look at TV.
Yeah.
Well,
but I mean, TV satires in the magazine too.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, you do work with Drucker too and stuff. But
yes, and every once in a while, I did a movie with Paul Coker, and I did a movie with Don
Martin.
Don Martin. With Gentle Ben.
Right. Gentile Ben.
Nick said, we're going to have Don do this. And I go, really? And they go, well, there are no likenesses. It's a bear. I said, oh, yeah, okay, that's a great idea.
And that was one of my questions going to be about paperbacks is you did a lot of work for Don Martin on his paperbacks, typically with Captain Klutz. but a few other things like I think Star Spangled Bananas and things like
Yeah,
that.
yes, yes.
But was that your choice or was that Don's choice? How did that work to work with him on those books?
It was Bill would call you and he goes, "Do you want to write some stuff with Don?" And I said yes. And I think Don wanted to do a whole book, and Bill said, "Here's the thing. Even if you write the whole book, I don't want your name on the cover."
Hmm.
He said, "It'll be a way better seller without your name." And I said, "Can I have my name in little type at the bottom?" And he said, "Oh, that we can do."
Oh,
He said, "But it should be Don Martin so and so."
right.
And then at the bottom, I think it says with the help of Dick DeBartolo. But I mean, I had no problem with that because he's the draw there, his artwork. So
Now, on all those paperbacks, I think in the case of Don Martin, they own their paper, or Norma Martin does. So, I mean, do you have access to the material you wrote that you could actually take it and print it somewhere else, or you're just like,
we both did that because
yeah,
Norma said, "I am taking the artwork. I Don owns the artwork to
right,
so and so," and they had someone write another book
right,
to his artwork,
yeah.
and then I took the script and I forgot who illustrated. Someone illustrated it.
Oh, so you did reuse it
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
Okay.
we did. Yeah,
Oh, very
yeah,
good. Okay.
yeah.
And then the other question is, and I've asked Sergio about this before when I met him in LA, but he's so fast and keeps working and everything. He has no time to really look back all that much. But I mean,
Right.
what's the status of the paperbacks, like the 9 you did that you own? I mean, could you put them out again, or do you have restrictions on it? You probably couldn't put the Mad name on it, but
No, you can't.
but can you put them out again? Like, could you say Dick DeBartolo's Mad? Dick DeBartolo looks at old movies as opposed to Mad look at old movies.
You know what? That's interesting. I don't know.
Okay, because I
I
know
actually.
Sergio, what he said is, yeah, I could put that stuff out, but I'm working on so many things I don't even think about that. And so,
You
a
know.
lot of these paperbacks, they're just harder and harder to find because everybody snaps them
Yeah.
up, and they've been
Oh,
out
the
of print for
yeah,
30
yeah.
years. So
Yeah, that was the other thing. When Warner took over, they said all the paperbacks are dead. That was a huge part of my income.
right. So
And,
that's what I was
and
wondering. Can you do them again? It's like,
yeah, so that died, and then a 40% pay cut. So that
wow.
was it
And you
was
still work for
yeah. Well, you know what? Uh, you have to think about the family. When Bill died, I thought, this is a perfect time to get out because we're going to be facing the corporate world or something. And Bill died in June, and Comic Con was, I think, August. And I was booked to be there at the booth. And the number of people who said, "Oh, don't let Mad die," I thought, you know what? What the hell? How bad can it be? Well, it was pretty bad, but
well, I'm glad you stayed on, it's like
oh, thank you,
but
thank you.
the one thing I was kind of curious about, you touched on something now, and I can't remember where it is here. Let's see. I'll get back to it. It's on my list here of things to ask you, but
Oh,
there's other
okay,
things. This is more about TV, and I'm just kind of curious
okay.
because when you started working for Match Game and To Tell the Truth and all those TV
Yep.
shows like that, did they approach you, or did you just want like additional income, or how did that come about to get into those areas?
A friend of mine who worked at Goodson Todman called me and he said, "Listen, we have a silly show, and you work at Mad, and it's called the Match Game, and can you come in and watch us do some run throughs?" And I did, and I started writing questions for them, and then it was a 1 year contract, and not many people know this, but Mad started out. The questions were name a yellow flower, name a president who appears on money, name something that cost $1, And 10 months in, Goodson called me in and said, um, NBC is not picking up the contract. He said, you have 2 months of shows to do, but I'm just giving you a heads up if you want to start looking around for work. And I said, okay. And then over the weekend, I'm thinking, these questions are really dreary. Um, so I went back to Goodson on Monday and I said, Mark, I have an idea for different kind of questions. He said, okay, what? I said, Mary liked to pour gravy on John's blank. So Goodson laughs and he goes, well, what would they say? I said, well, they're going to laugh like you did. And then they're going to say potatoes, meatloaf. And and you'll get matches. And he said, it's canceled. They can't cancel it twice. Just do what you want. So I started doing those. And then it was a month later when he called me in and he goes, all right, keep writing that way because NBC's in for another year. And
That's
so that and it just kept going. And then he said, listen, I'm moving a lot of stuff to California. I'll move you out there. I said, Mark, Mad's here. I'm a native New Yorker. He said, well, I'm keeping my office. I had a great office. I had an office in the Seagram building, a corner office on the 30th floor. He said, you can keep your office. So I would just write the questions and send them out.
Your story sounds similar to Stan Lee with Marvel Comics, where it was kind of going down the dumpster, and then Stan's wife, I think, said, "Why don't you just write what you want?" And he came up with like Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, and all those characters.
Yeah, yes,
because he's suddenly writing what he wants to do rather than what he's told to write. And the rest is history in the same way.
Yes, yeah. But maybe Stan had remembered to take a portion to get a. If Goodson had given me 1%, that's how things worked. If you did things, you got a percent. If I had 1% of the match game, oh my God, because it exists today. But I gave myself 18 years of employment, so that's pretty good.
Now, what did Bill and everyone think for you working there? Was he okay with that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I got him on. I got him on to tell the truth. And,
right. I've seen that on YouTube.
Yeah.
No,
I got him on 60. I got that piece on 60 Minutes. Actually, that came via Mad because Parker Brothers came up to Mad to want to do a game.
Right.
And Bill said, look, Bill is very shrewd. Bill said, look, I'm very interested in working with Parker Brothers. What I don't want is for you to go back and have some game that didn't sell and you're going to say, Mad Magazine presents. He said, you have to bring me a Mad game. And they did really well because Mad's a satire of Monopoly.
Yeah. That's a great game. I played it many times. So
and then at a meeting, they said, is there anybody at Mad who could go on tour with the Mad game? And he said, him. Yeah. So, so I went on tour for 4 months with this guy, Roy Burnett. And one day, like a year later, Roy Burnett said, Dick, guess where I work? I said, where? He said, I do PR for 60 Minutes. I said, oh my God, you need to get Mad on. And he goes, well, let's pitch some ideas. I pitched ideas for like years. And finally, I think it was Mad's 30th anniversary or something that they said, yeah. And Bill called me in and said, okay, so they want me on 60 Minutes. I said, yeah, I know, I helped. And he said, what's the downside? I said, Bill, are you a crook? Because they're going to find out.
And he goes,
he said, no. He said, I just knew from Bill's dealings. He was so freaking honest. I said, Bill, there is no downside. So they did it.
I watched that back then. It was great piece.
It was great fun. It was great fun.
Now, a couple of your colleagues like Arnie Kogan, Stan Hart, Larry Siegel, they all work for things like Carol Burnett's show. Did you ever work for that? I don't think you did, or similar shows.
No, but it's very funny because Larry called me and said, one of the writers is leaving. I'm going to pitch you to work on the Carol Burnett show. And I said, well, I'm going to be out in Hollywood for Match Game. I'm going out for the pilot. He said, okay, great. Oh, you'll be at Television City. So come over, and he gave me the days that they were typing, and I went over, and I met Carol just sitting in the audience, and Carol said, so you work at Mad? I said, yeah, I work with Stan and Larry. And she said, oh, you got the job. She said, Mad, Stan, Larry. She said, call in August and we'll set something up for the fall season. Well, but her show didn't get renewed. So it never happened, but it was close.
Oh, so you
But
were
it's
at the
okay because
you were at the tail end of her series that you were
yes,
on.
exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
interesting because I was thinking, was there any other variety shows or any other non-game shows that you worked for during those years? Or no?
No.
So you were more of a game show guy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I found my question. I was going to say, what I noticed working on my book is it seemed like in the old days, especially when you started, Mad was like a destination. And then later this is why there's more rotation of the usual gang of idiots.
Right.
It was more of a stepping stone to something else. So a lot of the later people that joined Mad would only work at Mad a few years, and then they go on to become working at Nickelodeon, or they'd put out children's books, or they do something different, and they wouldn't stick with Mad. Why do you think that changed?
You know what? I think a lot of them started out as interns and then decided, and they worked out great as an intern. And so Bill would say, you want to work here? Keep working here until something else comes up. So I think they worked there while looking to do something else. And also the opportunity to do other things as time went on got more and more possible. You know, there back then, if you didn't work for the 5 networks, there was no place to go. And then there was, as you said, there was Nickelodeon, and then self-publishing, and also Charlie Kochman, who worked for Warner Brothers, went off and started, I forgot he works for a giant publisher. He got a lot of Mad writers into doing books. So I think there was just way more opportunity. And I don't know, maybe some of the people thought it was a closed shop to be doing 7-page things. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, like in your day when you started and you got into Match Game,
right?
You know, why did you stick with Mad? I mean, wouldn't you say, bye, Mad, I'm in Match Game, I'm in big TV time now, or whatever?
Yeah, you know what? Because people were more impressed with Mad, especially guys. I remember my favorite thing was I was on a flight to I don't know where, and I had my Mad pin on. I always wear a Mad pin. And the guy said, you work for Mad? I goes, yeah. And I gave him my card. He said, you're Dick DeBartolo? I said, yeah. He said, well, you belong in first class. I mean, he just upgraded me.
Wow. I'd stick with Mad too.
Yes. And then another time I was in L.A., and Sid Caesar was appearing in some sort of a Gilbert and Sullivan thing. And I went to the box office, and the guy said, "Oh, the show's just sold out. It's only a 1-month run that Sid is in it." And I said, "Oh my God, it breaks my heart. The reason I started working for Mad was because of Sid." And he goes, "You work for Mad?" I gave him a card, and he said, "Is a house seat okay?" I said, "Yes, sir." I get out my wallet. He goes, "No, this is my treat." So those were the 2 times I thought, holy criminy. You know what? Bill called me in one day and said, "Dick, I am in such trouble." I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Annie and I, every anniversary, eat at the so-and-so, some ritzy famous thing." And he said, "I didn't make a reservation and they're full." I said, did you tell him who you are? And he goes, "What the hell do they care? The publisher are Mad?" I said, "Oh, give me the freaking phone number." So I go in and I get the manager's name, and I said, "Listen, I work for Mad. There's a big problem here. The publisher of Mad eats every anniversary at your restaurant. He forgot to make a reservation. What time do you want to come in? So I went back to Bill. I said, Billy, what time you want to go? He said, you don't have it. I said, just tell me the time. So he didn't think he was anything
Right.
special. Yeah.
It's just funny because, I know it has the clout, but at the same time, you might just have grandiose ideas. Oh, TV, movies, and just leave it behind. But, again, I mentioned Stan Hart, Larry Siegel. Even though they were writing for Carol Burnett, they continued on with Mad as well. So,
yeah. No, yes, there's something. Mad fans are great. They're like yourself. They know stuff. The word. If I get in an interview, and it starts with, oh, what's that? What's the kid with the tooth? Albert somebody. I go, this is going to be one freaking disaster. But like with you, you'll say, oh yeah, you did that with Don Martin. Then you're on solid ground.
I've been a reader since 1974, so that's where I started. And then my dad read it, and he's still around. He read the first 23 Kurtzman issues. So, and then the first magazine, he didn't like it as a magazine, strangely enough. So, oh well. He never saw your stuff until I started reading it in the 70s.
Yeah.
So, but
no, the same with Doug with Mad Cover Site. Can you imagine what a undertaking that is? I mean, you could spend days there.
Yeah. Well, it's been very helpful. I've given him credit. He's also from Oregon too, which is kind of interesting.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Yeah. But I was just curious. I mean, we mentioned it earlier. What type of articles did you like writing best? Was it the satires, or was it the other stuff you did that wasn't TV or movie satires?
I loved writing ads. I loved writing ad copy, and movies. Sometimes movies were fun. The thing I liked the least was writing TV satires, and especially if you had to write a TV satire of a funny show, and they would ask you to do it if the show was a really big hit. As a matter of fact, one day we had Alan Alda on Match Game, and he said, "Can I talk to you seriously about something?" I said, "Yeah," and he said, I think Mad did a real hatchet job on MASH. I didn't write it. I think Larry Siegel did. He said, I said, listen, Alan, I said, it's a big problem for Mad to do satires on comedies. I said, first of all, you should be flattered because Mad only does things that are in the top 10 for months, if not years. Because then we know that people know the show. If your show is funny, we almost have to manufacture things that are wrong with the show to get a joke going. I said, so there is nothing personal in our satires. It's just that we want to have you in the magazine. And he said, oh, you know what? He said, okay, I'm so glad I talked to you because I was nursing this grudge, but now I sort of see it from the writer's perspective and Mad's perspective. So that was like the only complaint that I know of that someone's really unhappy.
I would think the hard part about writing a TV satire, especially a situation comedy also, is let's use like Happy Days, for example. Fonzie wasn't a major character the first couple seasons.
Right.
And if you did your satire then, which I think you did after Fonzie became prominent, but let's say you did it early on, and then the show's change as its focus and shift. And now Cracked used to do like 10 satires of MASH or Happy Days or whatever. It would switch, but Mad, one time only, and that was it. So if a show like MASH is on for 11 years, and you're doing a satire and has Major Burns and has, all those people that were not on the show by the tail end of it, it's like, well,
Yes. Well, we had that once.
Sorry. Yeah.
We had it once with the cover.
Yeah.
With all the justices. Oh, I forgot. Anyway, they had added a new character.
Oh, is this the LA Law one?
Yes, LA Law. And
I remember
then,
the photo. They sent it in. The other
yes,
side
new
says,
guy.
"New guy." Yes, I
Yes,
remember.
but also what a compliment it was
Yeah,
for them to get, because with a TV series, you just go in the hours that they need you.
yeah,
Uh, for them to get everybody in the cast in one place at one time to shoot that photo was really, we were thrilled with that.
yeah.
That was great.
But I mean, like what I said about TV shows, is that hard to do when if you do a satire of a show and then
Well, you
suddenly
know
shifts the
what?
focus, and then you're like, well, it's there, but it's dated now or whatever.
Well, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you're going to really look terrible when they reprint it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's
But some of
the
them
way it
still
is.
hold up to me. Like one of my favorites, and here's a show that's been on for 50 years,
Right.
and it's changed total format, total cast, everything. Is Mad's Reality Street, and it's a parody of Sesame Street. And you wrote that, and it's
Yeah.
like it's still funny, even though none of the characters are on the show
Yeah.
anymore. Ernie and Bert, I guess, are Big Bird, but it's like it's really a
Right.
totally different show. But it's like every time I read it, it's like 5 easy pieces, things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. No.
Let's start counting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, I think recently you were talking on Facebook about not being on David Letterman, but you auditioned a few times.
Yes.
And if you want to repeat the story, you can for the benefit of the viewers. But were there any other TV shows like that you were rejected from over the years? I was just kind of curious.
No, let's see. No one. No, not that I know of. I sort of I thought it would be great to be on Letterman, and that's why I went back 3 times. No, the thing is, people see your work, and I assume that when they call you, they sort of want you to do it because they saw what you do. But I didn't. I'm so glad that woman explained why. After I I said that, this is 3 times. Can you please tell me what is wrong here? And then she, said the thing that he needs somebody to make jokes about, and you unfortunately know what you're doing. So
I still would have tried, but that's me,
yeah.
Anyway, but you did end up being on Regis and Kathy Lee at least once. I don't know how many
Oh
times.
my God, I was on for monthly. I've been on ABC monthly for 25 years.
Oh wow.
Between Regis, Good Morning America,
Okay, yeah, you've been.
and World News Now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
once a month.
yeah. So I mean, there is a place for you. So.
Yes, yeah. World News Now is great because they're very, it's the overnight news.
Yeah.
And
then, of course, you're on Stu's show, our friend, mutual friend, Stu Shostak, with your gadgets, like at least once a year. I don't know if you.
Yes, yeah. We do a Christmas best of and worst of.
Yeah.
No, he's great.
Let me go on that for a second. So you do all the gadget stuff. That's kind of your thing now. How did that come about originally?
I just love gadgets. Oh, I know how. Barbara Griff was a producer on To Tell the Truth. And she went over to our local Channel 5, which I think back then was Metro Media. And she called me up and she said, "Look, I'm doing a show with Bill Boggs. And it's a magazine show. We have a chef and we have a pet person and we have a cook. But do you still have all those gadgets in the office? And would you ever consider just coming over and showing some gadgets?" And I said, "All right. Can I be funny?" She said, "You can do anything you want. Just remember, you have to impart some true information." So I did it. And a couple weeks later, she said, "People like that spot. Do you have more gadgets?" I said, "Oh, do I?" So I did it 2 more times, and she just said, "Can you do this every week?" And I said, "Yeah." And then from there, I got a call from the Regis show. And then from Regis, one of the ABC execs said, "Are you under contract to him?" I said, "No, I'm under verbal contract to do it once a week." He said, "You want to do Good Morning America?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." And he said, "Okay." So I went over there.
So,
Yeah.
now, were you ever on 60 Minutes another time, or is it just that one time?
Just the one time.
Oh, okay. It seems like
Yeah.
you were on again, but maybe it was a different show that I was saying.
No, yeah, probably something else.
You're on every week.
I'm Ellen everywhere.
Anyway, actually, it would be kind of funny, you know. It's like, what's his face isn't on the show anymore. Andy Rooney. You could do some.
Oh yes, Andy Rooney. Yes.
Dick's segment. But going back to the gadgets, how do you get them? Do you just look on
Yes.
the internet and just find goofy things to purchase, or?
Well, I go to a lot of trade shows. Okay, the Consumer Electronics Show,
Oh, okay.
the Hardware Show, and after a while, you just get to know a lot of PR people, but lately, if it's cheap, being $40 or less, I just buy it because I got really tired of dealing with PR people who say, well, be sure you say this, be sure you say that. Why did you say the battery life is just 6 hours? It's 6 hours, but don't say just. Say the battery life. And I'm thinking, I'm freaking giving you free publicity here. And anyway, so
now, do you buy everything, or you just buy the ones that strike your fancy? What's your criteria?
I buy things that are stupid because on the Gizwish show, it's fun to show stupid things. And when you buy them, you can show how stupid they are. Sometimes you'll buy something stupid that turns out to be really nice. But after 30 years, I'm sure I've never been taken off any PR email list. I mean, I get at least 200 emails a day. Just pitching. I mean, they don't care where they went. You know, interested in oil well drilling bits? A little bit out of my line. So, yeah, but you just have resources after you do it a long time.
Going back to Mad, just a few Mad things I'm just kind of curious about.
Yeah.
So, I think we mentioned, hopefully not before the show, but we'll mention it again, the Mad Minute. So, that was kind of like your baby, right? The Mad Minute thing.
Yes.
And you basically, if I remember reading about it in your book, I think it was in your book, it was in some other Mad book about Mad, that you kind of produced this big amount of them, like 400 or 700.
Yeah,
yes. So where are they now? And do you have the rights to them? Can you put them out again, or do they have no use anymore?
I probably do because and the funny thing with Bill, and this is kind of interesting. I don't know if I had it in the book or not. So Bill got a call from a PR agency that they wanted to buy the Mad Minutes. They wanted to make it 45 seconds and then sell it with a 15-second commercial. And so we had a meeting with those people, and Bill said, look, Dick owns the Mad Minutes. Is he going to write them all? And the guy said, well, we thought we'd write some. And Bill said, all right, he'll be the producer. If it's all right with Dick, it's an automatic all right from me. And they said, okay. So they produced a demo tape for Bill with Gary Owens, you know, from Laugh-In, and an orchestra. And I thought it was amazing. And I played him for Bill, and Bill said, I don't not like these. I loathe these. I said, Billy, he goes, Mad is your voice, and Dennis on his crappy Casio organ, that's Mad.
Yeah.
I don't want an announcer. I don't want an orchestra. What? So that's where. So I just kept producing them, and it was really a kind of a good idea. That was like part of the creative consultant, is to mail them to little radio stations that have no budget, and they would just play them. And the only thing would be, there wasn't even an ad. This is a Mad Minute from Mad Magazine. That's the whole ad. Yeah. And we did it for years.
So, like I said, any chance of them being reissued some way,
You know
somehow? I don't
what?
know.
I
Who
don't
would
know
want them other
either.
than me?
I don't know. I
I mean,
don't
I know a
know.
few of them were. It was either the CD-ROM or the DVD-ROM version. I know they put a few of them on
Yes,
there,
yes.
and I thought
Yeah.
that was all of them. And then I found out
Oh no,
700 or whatever it was. Like,
there
how?
are
Holy cow! How many did you do? It's like,
yeah, there are hundreds of them. As a matter of fact, I just posted something online, and the guy said, "What are you writing new Mad Minutes?" I forgot what it was. It was Alfco's new company. I forgot what it was.
you could make
Actually, it was funny. I was writing one today.
you could reissue them
Um,
as Dick's podcast, and then just be a minute-long podcast, and
oh,
well,
that's not a bit. That's not
one
a bad
one a
idea.
week or something,
Yeah,
one a
that
year.
that that's
uh,
not a bad idea.
um, I'm always curious about this, and I don't think you were involved with these, but I think you were there. Is when Mad did those kind of rock and roll albums in the early '60s, Mad Twists Rock and Roll and Think Along with Mad, things like that.
Yeah, you know what? I don't even remember them. I did the Mad Disco thing. That
Yeah,
was
that
the
was later. But I
yeah, that
mean,
was
I
yeah,
guess I can ask about that as well because I was going to ask about that. But on
right.
those earlier ones, I mean, is there a reason why they don't reissue them today, or is it because they're
You
kind of
know what? I
dated,
don't
or
know. I think Norm Blagman owns the rights to them,
okay,
and I think Norm has passed on. And I don't know who owns the rights, but I put something from Disco Mad up on YouTube, and it got a strike instantly
oh, okay. So you
from.
don't really own the Mad Disco stuff
No,
either.
I don't.
Okay.
I
So
don't.
I kind of thought that was your baby again. But you
Well,
came up with the idea, didn't you?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, I had written several things, and this is like one thing with Al is I went into Bill. I said, Bill, disco is so hot, and I've written 6 disco things for Al, and he doesn't even look at them. So Bill said, well, let me find out. So he goes in, they have a powwow, and he comes back and he says, all right, here's what's going on. Al knows nothing about disco, and he doesn't even bother reading them because he wouldn't know how to edit them. And I said, all right, well, at least I know. And then he said, well, you know what? I have an idea. Do you want to produce an issue all your own? And I said, yeah. He said, it's not going to be numbered, and it's not going to be a volume. It's just going to be a Mad special. And I said, well, I have credit. And he said, yeah. He said, just don't write the whole thing yourself. Call the usual gang of idiots and see if you can get like 5 or 6 articles. Take the 6 you wrote. And I said, well, you know what? Nick wants to do some songs. Oh, he said, that'd be great. We'll do a floppy disk. So that's how that came about.
Yeah, I met Al Feldstein once
Oh, okay.
at a convention later on, and he actually was a bit brusque, to be polite, but
Yes.
he wasn't outright whatever. But we actually had an interesting talk because I told him that I saw him on Mike Douglas' show in 1978, and he was really impressed with that. He says, "Holy crap! I didn't think anybody saw that."
Oh,
Because it
okay.
was for
Okay.
Mad's 25th anniversary, and my parents had just got a VCR. It was a Beta machine, and we taped that, and I watched that over and over because there's something on TV about Mad. I've always said,
Was he by himself?
he was by himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's other guests on the show. I think Ben Vereen was on the show and a couple other
Okay.
people,
No,
but it
I
was
meant
really,
from Mad. He
yeah,
just did
from
it all
Mad, it was
himself.
just
Yeah.
Al himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, he told his stories pretty straightforward. He says, yeah, Mad wasn't a very good seller until Super Duper Man. And I think the latest issue was the Rocky one from late
Oh, okay.
'77, and it's, and they showed some stills from that and got some laughs from
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and they showed some other people, some other pieces. I mean, like the Ringo Starr Blech ad, with
Yeah.
the
Oh, yes. Yes.
Rosetta,
Yeah.
and what's another one they showed? Oh, the great moments in medicine were presenting
Oh,
the bill. Those types of
that's
things.
one of my favorite. That is one of my favorite things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
anyway, Feldstein was very impressed that I remember that. So he kind of opened up a bit, but he was just kind of marveling at, do people even care about Mad anymore? It's like, why? Like, here I am. I've been a fan, at the time, probably about 30 years or something. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I really love it. He goes, okay, all right, and I got his autograph and everything. But, I think he was, at that point in his life, he was starting to get it he didn't get it when he was doing it, and now he
Yeah.
kind of got it, and it's like, okay, it's like, but I can understand the friction there.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if you're friends with all the other writers, but another writer, when I did my crack book about a decade ago, Paul Lakin was one of the first writers that wrote for Mad, and he
Oh,
came in with
yes.
Frank Jacobs, but he was so frustrated working with Al that's why he went to all the other publications like Crack and Sick
Yeah.
and everything like that.
Yeah.
Now,
I knew Paul Lakin's name, but
okay, so
I
you
don't
never met
remember
him.
meeting him. Yeah.
But that leads me to this question. I mean, because of that similar type of frustration, did you ever once, before, during, or after working for Mad, I mean, as long as they were still being published,
Right.
working for Cracked or Sick or Crazy or Lampoon or any of the other publications, or you just said, no, I'm a Mad loyal?
No, because I really I really respected Bill. I thought Bill was so smart, and I loved the idea that put down was the whole thing. I remember once I said to Bill, we were booked to do an interview, and I said, Bill, I can tell you now from broadcasting, they are going to say, what is Mad's philosophy? So get something ready. And Bill said, oh, I got something. I said, what? And he said, Mad's philosophy is to never, ever stop reminding the reader how little value they get for their money. And I thought, that's perfect. That's perfect. Uh, and there was a newspaper shortage once, and Bill is ranting at someone on the phone, and he said, you get it. I don't care what it costs. I pay you $100,000 a year. You get it. And it was that his printing agent, I didn't know there was such a thing. His printing agent was going to print Mad on slick paper at no additional cost because there's a newsprint shortage. And Bill said, I don't want, are you crazy? You find newsprint. I don't care what it costs you. I want Mad on newsprint, not slick. That's not Mad. And I always appreciated that. Even though, we pretend it's a crap magazine, he really cared about the readers. And
what
he
did
was,
you think about after he passed away? They kind of backpedaled on all that stuff. They brought back advertising. It was color and slick, and they did it monthly. It wasn't supposed to be monthly, and
yes,
things like that.
Yes. The one thing in their favor was Mad, before they did ads and all, did a color issue, a special color issue. It sold really well. So when they were pitching John to take ads, the one thing I think that perked everybody's ears up was when you take an ad, you get a free run on the color presses because the ads need a color press. So you can print a lot of color for no additional cost for the magazine. So that was a big plus. Yeah, I didn't keep track of circulation numbers, but
I hate to say it always seemed to go down. And
yeah,
of course,
yeah,
now
yeah.
it's now the lowest. I mean, it's like under 50,000 an issue, and it's like
Yeah.
so depressing when it used to be over 2 million. So
I know it's only you can't it's only comic book stores and subscriptions.
Yeah. But and I always wonder, and you don't have any input at all, but I was just kind of curious. It's like what their purpose is, what their plan is, because I mean,
know this is what I heard the purpose is not to. They would have to refund subscription money to everybody because they have big magazines. They can say. Like Powerboat magazine was bought up by a big company that then closed the magazine, but then they sent everybody boating because it's another boating magazine. So if AT&T closed Mad, what are they going to send them, a phone book? I mean, they have nothing to send.
Right.
So it's easier to send them Mad And actually what Susie and Bernie are doing are sort of making mad specials.
Right.
A mad special, they just
Yeah.
get a theme and put a bunch of stuff in it. I mean, I don't mind it. I like seeing my stuff in there still. I like seeing other articles I didn't read when it first came out, and like you said, articles that came out before I was a Mad fan. So it doesn't bother me.
It's
I
just
mean,
it's a bit frustrating for me, only
I
from the
can
standpoint, not
understand.
because I have all the issues, but um, when I started reading Mad, you had the regular Mad, you had, which is new material, of course. Then you had the special, which had nice color inserts, records,
Yeah.
or posters, or whatever, and the paperbacks, which seemed to be totally omnipresent from the 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yes.
And then those kind of went away, the pocket-sized ones, and the Ficara took it like one step further, and there was Mad, look at this, Mad, look at that, Mad, look at it. It was like thousands of books. Now, you go to Barnes & Noble, like one of the last chain bookstores left, you don't find Mad at all. And occasionally, like I think 2021, they put out a reissue of a sci-fi special in a book form. And
Okay.
then they put out the Christmas stocking, which is
I
the
was just
same
going to say,
reissue they
didn't they
do
do a
every
Christmas
year.
thing? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, and if I was doing that with Mad, like you go to the bookstore and they have like a Life special, a Time special, People magazine special, granted, all those are the same company, I think. But why can't Mad do that? Like I would love to see like a Mad look at Wally Wood as a book. It's never been done.
Right.
And since they're reprinting this stuff anyway, just put it in a book and put it out there. And it has a longer shelf life than say a monthly or bi-monthly or
Yeah.
whatever.
I,
At least.
yeah. I think the fact that they fired everybody, it's
Yeah.
two people. It's just
Right.
two people out
Yeah.
there.
It's just a shame because I mean, it's like I said, what's the point? Because Mad used to be a valid, like you said
Yeah.
yourself, I asked you, why did you stay at Mad if you could have been at Match Game? You said because there was some clout with it. Like Mad, AT&T just totally destroyed the clout. It's like, Mad, what's that? Oh, somebody
Yeah.
angry?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Oh, yeah. No.
I don't know. It's
I
just
know
frustrating.
I don't even bring up Mad with young people because
Yeah.
they don't. I just say this guy. They go, oh, I know that guy. They don't know his name, but they know the image.
Yeah.
My Mad pen.
Okay. Regarding your books, I asked about the paperbacks, but like the Good Days of Mad here, I mean,
Yes.
this is still pretty easily obtainable, but I mean, is there ever a chance for like an update or anything like that?
Nah, because Bill is still dead. So.
But I mean, is there anything you left out of it or anything you would want to update or correct or change or anything like that?
It's sort of over, I guess, when they pried Mad off the wall, the Mad logo off the wall.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, no,
Okay.
the corporate world is it's
Yeah.
just
Then the other thing I was always curious about, and more so, but your book would fit in too. Frank Jacobs did The Mad World of William M. Gaines,
yes,
and that coupled with your book, I think would make an excellent feature film on Gaines. I think Gaines
right,
should have a biopic done. And I don't know who would play him, Drew Carey or somebody. I don't know,
yeah,
but I was thinking who would play William M. Gaines. But at the same time, it's like there's so many great stories that you could make a good, realistic biopic, and it could have drama where here's this guy whose dad was publishing comics. He gets killed in a boating accident. Then he takes over a company. He doesn't know what to do with it. Makes a line of horror and science fiction company. He's really successful. Then it's killed, and then he somehow survives with a humor magazine. This
yeah.
like up and down, and it's like it's an incredible story, and it's
I
never
don't
been
think
told in
Warner.
a documentary or anything.
Yeah, no. Do you know who Dave Thomas is from
From
Second City?
SCTV, yeah.
Yeah, SCTV. Um, so there was a podcast. Someone said, "Oh, listen to what the guy Gilbert
Gilbert
Gottfried."
Gottfried show,
Yeah,
yeah.
because Dave Thomas talks about you, and so I listened to it, and he's very complimentary. That Second City, he relied. They started doing satires on Second City because of my satires. Anyway, I called, I know the producer there, and I said, can you give me Dave's email? Because I just want to thank him. So I wrote him an email. 20 minutes later, my phone rings, and it says on the thing, Dave Thomas. So I pick it up. It is Dave Thomas. And God, we talked for an hour, how much he loved Mad and how much he loved my work. And he said, so I get a call from Warner Brothers, and they're interested in me working on a movie with them. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to bring up Bill. What a movie this will make. And I go to the meeting and I start talking about a movie about Bill. And they go, oh, we don't want to do anything about Mad. We want something crazy with you in it. Not. And he said, I was so. He said, I just walked out. He said, I couldn't believe they own the property and they tell me they don't want to do anything. Anyway, but that's their mentality.
Because I think it would be an excellent biopic. You could do it. If somebody could do it and have the right casting, the right script, whatever.
So you remember the TV show Biography?
Yeah. Annie.
Yeah. Biography wanted to do something with Bill. And because I knew someone there. And they told me to call this person. I told John, and John said, oh, let me find out. And John calls me and says, no, they don't want Biography to do anything. They're thinking of doing that themselves. Well, that's just the way to say it's dead. And that's an excuse you get a lot. We're doing that ourselves. We don't want to tarnish our plan. You have no fucking plan. You know? But they don't want to tarnish it.
Yeah. One thing out of your book that I was kind of curious about, and this story always made me a lot of the stories made me laugh, not just this one, but your dessert diet.
My dessert
and you got really sick. I mean, you could retell the story, and I was just kind of curious, do you candy your sweets or desserts now, or are you like total veggie or something?
No, I'm not a total veggie, but I have cut down a lot on desserts only because I was really getting overweight, and someone sent me a picture of me and George Woodbridge in a sarong, and I never knew I had like a 6-pack. I mean, I looked unbelievable. I was thinking, Christ, who is that man? Who's that weightlifter? And I'm thinking, look at me now. Anyway, I'm back to the gym, and I've cut out a lot of desserts. No, but Bill was the funniest one is with the menu. Is the first we go out to dinner, it's just Bill and I. It's a really nice restaurant, and Billy said, are you looking at the dessert menu? And I said, yeah. He said, well, we haven't eaten anything. I said, well, that determines if I got an appetizer. If there's a dessert I want, then I don't get an appetizer. He goes, oh, just order appetizer. So anyway, we do that. And the waiter comes out and says, would you like dessert? And Bill said, yes, we would like them all. And the waiter said, what? The Bill said, we want all the desserts on the menu. Bring them all out on a tray. I said, Billy, he said, you said you like desserts. I said, yeah, but not a tray. He said, you'll eat what you want, and they'll pack the rest up, and you'll take it home. And I mean, that was like, I couldn't believe it. And if you ate out with Bill, he always ordered for the table. And I remember there were 3 of us, and he saw this, and the lady said, how many will you be? And Billy said, no, it's just the 3 of us. She said, you're ordering so much food. And he said, yeah. So eating out with Bill was really an experience.
Well, you had a lot of stories in the book also about just his inconsistent frugality and lack thereof. Postage, and I think
the
typewriter. There
the typewriter. I goes, when I started working there, so do you need anything? I said, Billy, over at Goodson Todman, I have a Selectric, and it would be great. He said, "What's a selectric?" I said, "If you make a mistake, you just hold the correct key down, and the ball goes back, and it just erases the line totally, and you can retype it." He goes, "How much are they?" I said, "Well, they're like $600." He said, "That's okay. Just buy one." And then a couple months later, he calls me and he goes, "You can't reuse the ribbons in that freaking typewriter." I said, "Yeah, because the top ribbon is correct type." He said, "Why didn't you tell me that?" who, who would think? No, he said, "I have Annie searching. We're going to find a ribbon that you can reuse." And he did. Although I started buying my own ribbons and just using them. But because at first I said, "Billy, we're talking a joke here, right?" And he said, "I'm not talking a joke here." Yeah, so that you're right. That was Bill.
But in general, like you said, he was a sweetheart. He was never
Oh
really
my
cross
God.
with you. Did he ever truly get mad with you, angry with you at any time, or
No.
even slightly upset?
No, with that, no, no, I don't think so.
That's good.
I don't,
That's great.
I have a park bench dedicated to Bill, in Riverside Park, because Bill, Bill was never late, and he and Annie came to the. I had a 50-foot houseboat at one time, and he and Annie would come there a lot, and he would get there early, and I could see from the roof of my houseboat that bench, but I wasn't always up on the roof. And someone would say, "Oh, you know that heavyset friend of yours? He's out on the park bench." So after Bill died, I thought you can make a donation to the parks department and have a bench engraved with their name. So I did that. No, so no, I loved Bill. We just and Bill loved Dennis too. Oh, the train.
It's a train story. I forgot. I don't know if I remember that one.
Bill calls me one day and he said, "Write down this date. It's a Saturday, um, and you'll be gone the entire day." And I said, "Is this something I can invite Dennis to?" He said, "I rather Dennis come than you." I mean, that was the relationship we had. I said, "Well, can Dennis come and bring me?" He said, "Oh, let's look at it that way. That's good." He said, "But this day is especially for you." So we go to, he said, meet at Penn Station. So we all go to Penn Station. They announced a metro line to Boston. Billy said, "Go down to the platform, but don't get on the train." I said, "Oh, Christ, what?" So we go down, and I said, Billy said, "Just wait." We hear another train whistle. Out of the tunnel comes a switch engine pushing an 1890s observation car with three chefs on the back in chefs' uniforms on the observation platform, and they hook it up to the Metroliner. And Billy said, "This is your surprise. We're going to Boston. We're going to have champagne breakfast. You guys will have 5 hours in Boston. I'm going to sleep here on the train. And then we're going to have a 7-course dinner with wine on the way back." It was like one of the most unbelievable days. And on Monday, I said, "Billy, what does it cost to rent a?" He said, "Well, the car's 5,000. It's about 2,000 to get it moved around because it came from Virginia. And then Amtrak, they charge 25 first class fares to tow it." He said, 10 grand. It's 10 grand.
It's so funny that he was that way. He had no
Yeah.
problem dropping 10 grand the
Yeah.
$6 ribbon or whatever.
Ribbon. Yeah. I think because the 10 grand was his money and the $10 was Mad's money.
Yeah.
That's probably
The other
the.
thing is, we mentioned earlier the Mad trips and everything. You went on all of them, right? You had
No, I
enough
missed the
pages?
first one. I missed
Oh,
the
okay.
the Puerto Rico trip,
Okay.
and I didn't go on the last one. I know, I just felt too melancholy about
Was
it.
that one? That was after his passing,
That was
right?
after
Yeah.
Bill.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go with the Time Warner people. I just,
Okay.
yeah.
Now
But
the
I went
first
on.
one, was that the one where everybody went to the guy's house as like one
Yeah.
subscriber? Oh, so you weren't
Yes.
there on that one. So
No.
okay.
No. Let's go to his house. Tell him. Yeah, but I always, well, I used to do a mad slideshow at colleges, and I said, and the guy renewed, and then his neighbor renewed, so they doubled their circulation in Haiti for like just
Oh,
$5,000.
that was in Haiti. That's right. Not
Yeah,
Puerto
yeah,
Rico, but
yeah.
yeah.
I think it was Haiti. Yeah.
So of all the trips, I mean, you talk about it in the book. You talk about the Africa
Yeah.
trip and all sorts of different. What was your favorite, if you had a favorite?
Oh, the African trip.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I loved animals. And Billy got me there. He said, "We're going to a place that you will freak out. It's called Treetops, and it's in the trees, and the animals roam underneath." And I said, "And we sleep there?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "What do we do for food?" And he said, I guess they'll have sandwiches. They'll have something because we're staying there for 3 days." And I go, "God, can we shower?" And he goes, I don't know. So anyway, I brought Pop Tarts and potato chips, and we get there. The place is beautiful, hot and cold running water. The only thing was, uh, you sit at very long tables, and they serve like trays of food, and you just make your own dish up with all the various things. I said, "Billy, why didn't you tell me?" He said, "Nah, I thought I'd worry a little bit about the trip." I said, "Well, you want some Pop Tarts?"
Was that the same trip? I think there is one of them, and if it's a different trip, let me know. But I know you're a big pet lover, and I was going to ask you about your pets too.
Right.
But where there's like a pack of dogs outside town, and you saved some food for them,
Oh,
and it was you and George
that was
Woodbridge.
part of that was maybe Haiti
Oh, okay, that was a
on
different one.
another
You were
trip.
on
Yeah,
that one too.
Lou Silverstone
Okay,
was a big pet lover,
okay.
and we said, Lou said, "Can you believe these poor dogs?" I said, "Let's buy dog food." And because if you didn't go on an exotic trip, Bill would give you like $100 uh, for your meals. And if the airfare wasn't tremendous. So we went to some stores, and somebody who spoke English said, "There's no such thing as dog food here. Dogs just eat what's left over from what people eat." Um, so every day we just went to the deli and buy like 5 pounds of sliced turkey and blocks of cheese, and we'd go around and feed the dogs. So that's how that was about.
So, what current pets do you have now?
I just
Or
have I'm married to a guy, so Dennis and I have a rescue dog, Charlie,
oh, okay.
who is really, I saw only recently. I already knew this, but it was an interesting post online. It said every dog is a therapy dog. It's just that owners don't recognize that. Well, Dennis has not been feeling good for 2 days. Charlie does not leave his side. If Charlie has to go to the bathroom, he'll run out. He'll do what he has to do in a minute, and he runs back and jumps on the bed with Dennis. He just knows um, that Dennis is not feeling well.
What type of
So
dog? What breed?
he's mostly a terrier.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, a rescue terrier.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I have an affinity for dogs.
Yeah. I never
So.
had dogs in my life. Basically, my mom hated them. She was afraid
Oh,
of them.
okay.
And then, so I never had one growing up, even though I wanted like Lassie or something like that. And then, just because of where I've lived, apartments and stuff, I never had them. And then, my present relationship, she had a dog, and then we inherited my mother-in-law's dog too. So now we have two dogs.
Oh, okay.
They're both little terriers. One's a half Westie, half Havanese, little
Oh,
black dog, looks like Toto.
great.
And then the other one is a little bit larger, half Schnauzer, half Chihuahua. So
Oh my
she's
God. Are
very
you
odd.
finding that you love dogs?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But the Schnauzer Chihuahua one has that Chihuahua temperament. So it's a larger dog, but like, "Arr, arr," if you pet her the wrong way, they're both girl dogs. So,
No, it's great.
so I
It's
knew you
great.
love dogs, so I figured I'd bring that up. If we
Yeah,
had time.
no,
And,
no,
so,
no, absolutely, absolutely.
well, that's really all I had. I mean, I could talk to you for hours, but I
Yeah, no,
really
this is
just,
great.
yeah.
Actually, this works out good because I was gonna have dinner at 6:30, so it's
Very
perfect.
good. But
Uh,
at the end of our shows here, we usually have the guests just plug anything you're doing right now, any websites, any appearances, if any, during COVID times or anything.
um, well, this is for a book, isn't it?
Well, it's going to be the podcast too.
Oh,
So
it's a
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, but
okay.
yeah, double duty.
Yeah. The only thing I plug is Gizwiz.tv is my weekly show with Chad Johnson about gadgets, and we try to find kind of weird, funky gadgets, and that's about it. Good Days and Mad is on my website. I'm down to 20 copies left.
Oh,
Uh,
you still have copies of this, right? The Alfred E. Newman
oh,
picture.
yes, I do. Yeah,
A few other things on your website
yes,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been selling the outfit pictures and sending the money to the Actors Fund. I
Oh,
sent
very
them
good.
$500 last year from actually until COVID is over. I've been pretty much sending everything I make, selling anything mad to the Actors Fund.
And you're still doing, you mentioned some TV you're doing still,
Yeah, I'm
correct?
still doing World News Now on
Right.
ABC, and you can find all my spots at gizwiz.biz.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank
All
you,
right.
Dick.
Well, this was great.
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, you're
And I'll
welcome.
do a quick closing here. I want to thank you, Dick DeBartolo, for being my special guest. And thank you for watching another Fun Ideas podcast.